Got one. I don't know. I think I may got it. Good one. Nice one. So, like Tyler, see like right here where it's like fast current and then it breaks to slow, like around that tree? Anytime you see a line, throw at it. Look, I got one.
Yeah, exactly.
I got one while I was talking to you. All right, so tomorrow is the day that I have knee surgery. So I'm gonna be down and out for a minute, but I'm gonna show you guys how you can find and catch white bass. It's very easy to find them and catch them. You just gotta know a little bit about them. So the first thing is, what lakes and rivers have them? Most of the lakes and rivers in Texas have some white bass in there, almost all over. Now the main thing is you need to do a little research. It could be as quick as a little Google saying, hey, white bass in my area, white bass at this lake, white bass in this creek, and you can find a lot of info doing that. Another way is knowing when the spawn is happening. So the spawn is right now. This is the time where it's easy to catch them. You're not having to go deep. You can go fish from the bank and have a blast. Load up a cooler. So during the spawn is going to be around January to May. Now your hot months are going to be about mid-February to mid-March. That's going to be the prime time. And it kind of dwindles down after that. So all these fish are coming up out of the lakes and going upriver. It's almost like a redneck salmon run. So they're going upriver. So what you can do is you can find these lakes. So I'm gonna pull up a lake that I've never been to. Let's go to Lake Livingston, because that's one that's on my list to go to. And this is how we find all our spots. So I'll pull it up. All right, so I'm gonna pull up Lake Livingston, and then I'm gonna look above the lake into the creeks that feed the lake. So all the rivers and creeks that feed the lake, I know that these are gonna be the ones that hold white bass. So I can look at this and just all this up here, I know it's gonna catch white bass. So you just need to pick a couple spots. All right, so now that you know that they're gonna be coming out of these lakes, coming up the rivers and stuff, it's pretty easy to find a good spot to try. You can just go to FishBrain, go to Google, pull it up real quick, pull up these lakes and then go to the rivers above it. So as we get further along into the spawn, these fish will be further and further away from the lakes, up the rivers. So what I like to do is I like to pick a few spots, because if you're not in a boat or a kayak where you can move up and down the river freely, you may run into this. You may be fishing and you know that the spawn is in full swing and you can't find them. And they'll be nowhere. And then all of a sudden you come around a corner, around a bend or something, and this one spot will be so loaded with fish that it's every cast you catch one. You almost can't stop it. Problem is, if you're bank fishing, you're limited to what you have. So you need to pick multiple spots. Technically, we're at spot number 3. So what I like to do is pick a spot closer to the mouth of the lake and work my way further up the river if this is early into the season. And I may do the opposite if it's in full swing. I may start up the river and work my way back. And so I'll pick a few different spots so that if one isn't good, I can run to the next one. If that one isn't good, I'll move to the next. And that's if I'm bank fishing. If I'm fishing from a boat or a kayak and I know that the fish are there, I'll just keep working around the bend. Now I have all these different lures, all this different stuff to catch white bass. What's crazy is that of all this stuff, I almost always catch them on 2 lures. Those 2 lures is a Roadrunner and a rooster tail. And on that Roadrunner, which is just a bladed jig, I like to throw a Yum grub. These are super cheap from Walmart. And then the classic rooster tail. Again, buy these from Walmart because they're cheaper. I like to use the 1/6 ounce rooster tail, that's 4.7 grams. The Yum grubs, the 2-inch was doing a little better this last time, but the 3-inch is what I normally get. I like to throw these on a BFS rod. You don't have to use a BFS rod. You can use a spinning rod or whatever you like, but on a lighter rod. It needs to be a lighter rod so that you can feel that bite. Now there's a lot of trees, a lot of hang-ups out here. So I like to use a fluorocarbon leader because I use straight braid. The braid is gonna give you a little bit more sensitivity out here. Now you want to put a leader on there, because if you're going to get hung up in the trees, you're going to be casting around structure all day, so you're bound to get hung up a couple times, and you don't want your line to become frayed and then you break off on a giant and then be upset the rest of the day.
Oh yeah. No, he came off.
Oh.
Dude, he had his rod bent over too. Run and drag. I could hear it from here.
Oh, Tyler?
No, your brother.
So put a little leader on there. I like to put a pretty long leader on mine and tie it with an FG knot, cast it through the guides. That's because I know I'm going to be retying a lot. I break off a lot during white bass trips because there's a lot of underwater limbs, there's a lot of line and broken stuff that's just down there in these rivers and creeks that I'm fishing. I've never been to one where it's just super clean. Anytime I'm catching a ton of fish, I'm also catching a ton of trash. Now I'm going to take these rooster tails and I'm going to take the roadrunners and I'm going to cast them into any break in the current, any seam, any eddy, anything that there's a slack pool. Anytime that the current changes, that's where I'm going to be hitting the most.
Right here in this break in the current, we're gonna catch a couple. I can feel it. God, that's a nice one.
So how you work it, what we're doing is we're just casting it out there and slowly reeling. I'm reeling just fast enough that I can feel that blade on the roadrunner or the rooster tail spinning, but not much more. I'm not burning it, I'm just barely moving it. Just slow enough that I can get the blade to spin. That's all you need. A lot of times I'm fishing in 3 to 5 foot of water, so it's not very deep. That's why I try to let it get close to the bottom. If you start hanging up too much, just lift your tip, keep reeling. So all you're going to be doing is aiming for any kind of slack, any kind of break, and you will find the fish. If they're not there, just keep moving. That's why I pick multiple spots, and I normally try to move up the river or vice versa. So as you go from one spot to the next, you know, if it's slow at another, try the next spot, and it could be the difference between the whole trip.